Are you looking for an economical way to go camping this summer at some very unique places like maybe a horse farm or maybe a cidery?
Here's your cider.
Thank you. So, if you're looking for unique, fun places to stay at, then today's episode is for you because we're visiting with the gals from Harvest Host and we've got a special Girl Camper discount just for you. So, stay tuned.
Welcome. I'm Janine Pettit, Girl Camping Ambassador, blogger, adventurous, editor in chief of Girl Camper Magazine, and host of the Girl Camper Podcast. My guests today are Alyssa Javadi and Alyssa Chartier. I hope I'm saying those names right. Two of the power women that run Harvest Host. They're here today to share with the Girl Camper audience what Harvest Host is all about, what kind of girl campers they are themselves, and what we need to know to get out there and experience unique camping experiences. So, Alyssa and Alyssa, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Janine.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, I'm thrilled. We have been working on and off with you guys for a number of years, and I'm a big Harvest Host fan myself. And I believe way back in the day when the Girl Camper podcast first came out in 2015, I had Joel on the show.
Sounds about right.
He loves his press. He's a great interviewee too.
He's
I
much
mean,
better than us.
it was kind of all new then. He had just purchased Harvest Toast and was working so hard to grow it. And when I look back at where you guys were then in like 2015, 2016, and where you are now, I'm like, wow, all that hard work really paid off.
Yeah, what a champion. He's such a
Yeah.
champion.
Well, let's start. I'm just going to go back and forth with you. Alyssa Javadi, am I saying that right?
Yeah, it's Javadi.
Okay, it's so
Yeah.
French. Let's start with you. I always like to know, are you a girl camper?
Yes. So both it's kind of strange to say both Alyssa and myself when you have the same name. But
Yeah.
we're both girl campers and we've both solo road tripped and we both lived in RVs and that's why we're here. I think both on this podcast and at Harvest Host, we truly believe in the mission of our company, and that's connecting RVers with communities, getting them into new places, and keeping them on the road. And that's something we both wholeheartedly believe in.
Okay. And what about you, Alyssa?
I am a girl camper. I live in my Airstream full time. She's in the shop right now, obviously. This
Okay.
is not my Airstream.
I know
But
this is not where we normally see you in Zoom meetings.
I usually have a very gray interior.
Mhm.
But I've lived in my Airstream for about a year and a couple of months now, just traveling the country. And I actually got into it because of Harvest Host. You can't look at all those beautiful pictures every day without wanting to do it yourself. So
Mhm.
going full time was a no brainer.
So, how long have you been full time?
Um, it will be a year in this past February, so we're coming up on it, or like
Mhm.
a year and some change at this point.
And what are your observations about that? Any regrets?
No, it's when you're looking at the housing market and everything's just sky high. You we were looking at alternative options, like maybe waiting for it to come down, but uh, we decided that my husband and I we live
Mhm.
together. We decided that hitting the road was just going to be a big growth moment for us, especially post COVID. And it really has been. You get to know your partner very well, the
Mhm.
good, the bad, and the ugly. So that's been a really key, good part of our relationship. But also, I think everyone should do it at least once, at least for a couple of weeks. Everyone says You should go camping with your spouse. You should go camping with your friends. And I'm 100% a believer in that. It brings you closer together in nature in a way that you might not normally get to do. Fabulous.
It is what I do when I just need to take a break from the whole thing. I just hook it up and go. I just go. But Alyssa J, I mean, this was sort of a new experience for you last year because we wrote about you in the magazine. You did something like completely out of your comfort zone. You rented a Class B and you took off. So tell us a little bit because there's a lot of girl campers listening to this. And I promise we're going to talk about Harvest House, but that's part of the whole thing. Like when you're a solo woman on the road, and I say solo women, when I mean by that, when I say it is, I mean, a woman who is traveling, even with if you have other girlfriends with you, you're there, you're in charge of operating that RV, of driving it, of maintaining it, of troubleshooting anything. You're on the road by yourself. Even if you are traveling with a pack of girlfriends, as I often am, I'm not traveling with a husband or a man who's fixing anything for me. I got to figure it all out myself. And then there are innate little, like, fears in that when you first get started, and so I would love it if you would spend a few minutes sharing that experience with our audience that you had going out there for the first time.
Yeah, so I had been RVing for a couple of years, and then I had a life change, and I realized, okay, well, now I'm gonna have to start doing this by myself. So I don't know what I was thinking then, but like now I'm just like, okay, what a growth moment. But I decided I was going to fly out to California, somewhere I'd never been, take a road trip in a Class B, and drive the largest vehicle I'd ever driven by myself down roads that I'd never been with my dog. So I packed up, I got everything in place and decided I had to throw in all of my options. Like, what do I want to worry the most about was kind of my biggest starting point. And rather than looking at that negatively, like, oh, I've got to worry about like learning RV maintenance and all of these things, I was like, I'll just get AAA and let them figure it out. But then what I really want to focus on is seeing all the things that I have on my bucket list. Like I wanted to go to Joshua Tree. I wanted to go and hike in Yosemite. I'd never done a hike in a national park by myself. And as small as
Mhm.
that sounds, it made such a big impact. So I did all of these things. And then I wanted to go to a couple of Harvest Host locations where, like Alyssa, I had looked at images and decided, okay, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to wake up to. I want to
Yeah.
wake up in the middle of a vineyard with my dog. And that's exactly what I did. And when I got out there, I realized all the things I was scared of were so nominal. And I remember I was nervous and I called my best friend and I had to go to a hardware store to buy a hose for the RV because I didn't know that you needed your own water hose when you go to a campground. And I was just like looking for it and I realized my water was running out. I was like, okay, I have to go to a hardware store. And I just remember staring at all of the water hoses and then having to read every label and then learning that there is a specific RV hose and just like all of these small things that you don't think about.
Yeah.
But as you, like, take them bite by bite, it's so doable, and I look back at that and realize that was the biggest growth moment of my life.
I completely relate to what you're saying. When I fall down the Harvest House rabbit hole of sitting here when I should be working, going through Harvest Host website, just looking, it's like the lavender field. I gotta find a lavender field that I get to wake up in one morning and smell it and just. But I do agree too. I took a 5-week solo trip several years ago to Texas in the spring, and I left New Jersey the last week in March by myself, and I was gone for 5 weeks, and I always wanted to do Texas in the spring with the bluebonnet. I just wanted to see all the bluebonnets. I kept seeing all the pictures, and I'm like, "Oh gosh, I wanna do that." And I there had a lot of fearful moments, a lot of dodging tornadoes in the spring. There was a lot of that was a hairy spring, not as bad as the one we're in right now, but worst case scenario, I ended up one night with, like, my phone going off, alarms, and I'm sharing this because I just know our audience like wants that encouragement, and my phone kept binging with every weather app I have, and my mother was watching me too and calling me every 10 minutes. And so I finally just pulled into a La Quinta Inn, parked my camper and truck as close to the building as I could get it, and took a nice hot shower and rode out the storms and started again the next day. Like everything out there is manageable. I've had breakdowns on the road, I've had flats, I've been lost on roads where I didn't know where I was. I've been without service, and I'm here to tell you all about it. So, I just love that. I am particularly intrigued by Harvest Host as a business because campgrounds now, and everybody we say here, there's no wrong way to camp like a girl. We really sincerely mean it. I enjoy kind of every form of camping. Every once in a while, I find myself at some crazy RV resort with super slides and lazy rivers and wine slushy machines. And I'm like, gosh, this is so cool. This is so great. I just love it. Wine slushies, like this is awesome.
We had
And then and then I've been in national parks, like, in a billion stars with absolutely nobody around me thinking, "Oh my god, like, this is the best thing ever," you know? So, the thing about Harvest Host that I really love is that it's a slice of life. When I go to a Harvest Host, I just enjoy meeting the owners and, like, I'm an overnight guest, but I'm a guest in their life. They let you in their life. That's where they live. That's their home, and that's never lost in me when I'm driving down some back road in Ohio past people's mailboxes and some kid is bringing in the garbage cans. I'm like, this is a beautiful country road to me, but this is their town. This is where they live, and this is someone else's life. I think the world needs a little more of that right now. So I would like let's start with you, Alyssa J. What what does Harvest Host seek to do for their patrons, the people who purchase a membership with them?
Our entire mission is to drive RVers into communities, into these small
Uh-huh.
businesses, help grow those communities, but also give RVers a different kind of experience. It's funny, you were like, it's either the wine slushy or the billion stars. And that Harvest Host is actually both. You can do both of those things, right? That's the beauty of Harvest Host, and it's a pick your own adventure thing. When we first started, we got a lot of pushback. Hey, we don't drink. I don't think that this is for me. And actually, our program is more farms than it is anything, and
Mhm.
expanded into drive-ins, bison ranches,
Mhm.
churches, all kinds of things. Any truck,
Museums.
yeah, any
Yeah.
adventure you wanna have, we have in our platform. Water parks, we had our water park. So, yeah, you can even get on the big slides with the wide
Yeah.
slushies and then
Yeah.
superstars.
Yeah. Well, I heard that from a lot of people in the beginning too, and I do drink, but I don't drink wine. I like it; it doesn't like me. And I always get heartburn. So, but I give wine. I give wine to people as gifts. So whenever I'm at a Harvest Host winery, I just buy 2 bottles of wine, and then I keep it in my camper. And when I go to someone's campsite or someone's house, I just have a gift to bring. So have to use it yourself. And I also find that many of the wineries, though, sell other things. The last one I was at, I bought the most beautiful cutting board that they were selling in their little store.
Oh, yeah. I always get the chocolate too.
Yeah.
Sucker for
Yeah.
a nice chocolate bar. I'll have 10.
Well, I think for a lot of solo women too, they may be looking at Harvest Host going, oh, I'm not sure I want to be in some remote farm all by myself. So I would love for you, we'll go over to Alyssa C. I would love for you to talk to the audience about what kind of safety measures you guys take. And I mean, not anybody can just be a host. I mean, you guys have to really vet these people. So how do you know when you're coming up and you're choosing a place that you're safe?
So I have taken a solo trip this past summer as well, and I stayed at two Harvest Host locations on the way. And something that we do, and the reason I feel safe doing that is solely because of Brenda, our compliance manager. So we have an extensive background check that we do on potential hosts,
Mhm. Mhm.
but we don't just stop there. People, if anyone puts out a complaint, which is rare, obviously, but if anyone was to raise a red flag, Brenda, our knight in shining armor, comes in and she does a whole investigation around it.
Mhm.
She sees what's what and is very tough and makes sure that all of our hosts are falling in line with what needs to
Mhm.
be happening here, keeping our solo RVers safe because we have quite a few,
Mhm.
obviously. So in addition to the background check, initially, we're always
Mhm.
constantly following up and monitoring those
Mhm.
reviews, making sure that everything's good to go.
Well, I want to reverse that on you. So, how do your hosts, the people offering their homes, know that the people who become members are safe to be on their property and have give their address away?
It's a fabulous question. Obviously, coming in as a member, you have a lot of hoops you need to jump through as well. You need to upload a profile picture. They want to make sure you're a real person. You need to add a note about yourself. You add pictures of your rig and a little bit about you and your family. So if you're traveling with a dog, putting that in your profile. And people can take a look at that and say, hey, you might not be a good fit if you like to
Uh-huh.
let your dog off the leash. We've got a lot of dogs
Mhm.
ourselves. So there's that mutual trust in platform where they get to know you, you get to know them. Um, and it's worked out really well so far. Everyone's very community minded.
Mhm.
And I think that really shines through on the platform. It's got that local feel, but for the entire United States.
Mhm.
It's wonderful.
It is what I really love, and, everybody has to do that. Harvest Host is no different, and I think when I joined Harvest Host, I also had to upload my driver's license, and we require that at Girl Camper. Like, you
Mhm.
can't get on the back end of our site and see where all of our events are taking place unless we cross-check a credit card you give us with your name, and we make sure you are, to the best of our ability, who you say you are. I mean, and then I think too, it would come up pretty quickly if you are not who you say you are. Like that would reveal itself. And I mean, we have a zero tolerance policy for that at Girl Camper, but um, I like that because as a solo woman traveler, I used to think of Harvest Host as kind of like some place I would stay on my way to somewhere else. But what we've seen among the girl campers, especially Lisa has a bunch of girlfriends up in Colorado, and they just all go from one harvest host to the next, some winery on a Friday night with food trucks and lights. And all those girls pick a spot and they get to it. So the harvest host becomes the destination and not like just a wayfare on your way to somewhere. Did you guys expect that?
Yeah. When you told us about that, I started to realize the other instances at other clubs that do the same. And it makes so much sense, right? If you were to say, I want to go to this campground and I'm traveling with 20 people, you're not going to get spots right next to each
Hmm.
other. You're not going to have this field where you can go and talk. And I think that's the beauty of Harvest Hosts. You can just say, we're going to go to this brewery or we're going to go to this farm and we're going to have a whole day. And guess what? The catering's already there and the activities are already there and there's live
That's the
music.
best.
And yeah,
Yes, I love that part so much, and there is a winery down here in South Jersey with party lights at night and food trucks, and, I got a couple girlfriends, and I'm like, "We all have to go to this thing." If I went on a Sunday night, and everything took place on Saturday night, but we'll try it again. But anyway, we still had a ton of fun, and I just love the idea that nobody paid for a site because your membership is very reasonable. What is it, like $75?
it's 90.
99.
Mhm.
Mhm.
99. And well, that's like one and a half nights of camping in New Jersey. I mean, we live in
Really? Sure.
an area. I mean, all the campgrounds around here that not state parks, obviously, but the private campgrounds, anything at the Jersey Shore, they're 60, 70, $80 a night and even more. So when you think for the cost of, I'll be generous and say a night and a half of camping on the East Coast, you have a membership that it's unlimited, right? You could be out there 365 days a year going to a different location.
Absolutely. I can always stop at a Love's and dump, but the experiences that you get are just
Mhm.
unparalleled. As you know, RVing can be a little bit of a grind sometimes. You have long travel days. You're stopping at this RV park, maybe 3 stars on Google. You're just trying to get where you're going.
Mhm.
And instead, it feels like you just got dropped into a National Geographic article. And
Mhm.
it's like you're the interviewer. You're talking to these people and you're just learning about someone's way of life.
Mhm.
And it doesn't even feel taxing. It's you just come in and you see this whole little world that you never would have otherwise.
And you can participate in it if you want. And then if you don't, if you just come in and you're like, oh, I've had it. Let me just walk over to their little store and buy myself a little cheese and crackers and go back to my camper and crash. Y-
Hmm.
You can participate or not. It's kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the only thing we ask is just to go out and support those businesses that are supporting the program. I think
Mhm.
one thing about Harvest Host that maybe people don't know is the hosts don't pay us to be part of the program, and we don't pay them to be part of the program. It is very much we are connecting travelers with these small businesses, and they love when our viewers come. There were tons of stories throughout the pandemic where Harvest Host customers were the ones that saved many businesses in our platform. I think now it's something like $50 million from our members goes back into the communities in our platform every.
That's I love that because we've covered this in the magazine so many times. I'm a huge proponent of supporting small towns. And we did a big whole issue on small towns and what the impact that RVers have when they stop there and they go in and they get a burger at the burger joint and they buy ice cream at the ice cream parlor. It's so important.
Yeah, even getting.
And I think that's one of the benefits. Like when I think about Harvest Host, I think in addition to what what we as consumers save, there's a lot of other benefits to being a member of Harvest Host. And for me personally, and I'll let you say what the other ones are. Like for me personally, I really do love that feeling of stepping into someone's life. I think that bonds us as members of the human race. Like it's very good for me to know this is someone's life and to respect it and honor it and tread softly and be gentle and kind and all those nice things we should be. I also just love the idea that you're bringing some economic safety to people who live like a little more marginally than people with expensive RVs running around the country might do. So that is always a plus for me. But what other benefits are there besides saving money for an RV or when they're using the program?
Alyssa does all that. Alyssa J.
I I think the biggest benefit in my opinion is being able to travel and meet like-minded people. Because when you pull into a Harvest Host location, there are other people like you there. And every time that I go to a Harvest Host location, it's the people that park beside of me that I end up having the best relationship with, right?
Mm.
There's also this nostalgia that you're able to bring about. I think when we think about people camping with their families throughout time, you look back on these like campground experiences very fondly because you remember how intimate that was. And
Mhm.
now you go and it's a little crowded and maybe it's just like it doesn't feel the same, but I think Harvest Host locations actually provide that for you. You can go into these experience with your whole family and you go and you learn how to brush alpacas or, feed
Mhm.
bison. And that's something that people carry with them forever. And then camping together is just the cherry on top.
I love that because it's not just a place to park overnight. You do have to have a self-contained RV. You can't go to one and set up a tent. But rather than just looking at it as like a destination, this is an experience for your kids. An experience that really you would pay for otherwise. Because if you packed up a pile of kids and took them to a petting zoo, you're paying $10 a piece to get them all in there, and then you're buying all the snacks and treats. But you're taking your kids and they're collecting chicken eggs and they're, petting baby lambs, and you're going back to your camper and making lunch for everybody. So I love all of that. Now, you guys introduced something last year called Camper's Card. Do you want to share what that is all about?
Sure. Campers Card is a campground discount program. So we have signed up, what is it, 800? Are we almost at 1,000 at this point?
Those are
We hit 1,000 campgrounds across the country that provide various discounts. They could be first night discounts, week-long discounts, and the membership is very low. I believe we're at $20 per year with the Campers Card membership. You flash it or you book it or you tell them at the entrance, "Hey, I'm a Campers Card member," and you'll get that percentage off with us. It's a super great program. I've used it a couple of times, and we're growing
Yeah.
stronger every day. It's a slow process, as you know. It's still very analog to call campgrounds and reach out to them, but our recruiting team has been consistent and just knocked it out of the park.
Oh, that's so exciting. Do you guys have anything else you want to share with our audience? Like, tell us how girl campers can get a membership.
I believe you guys have a discount, don't
I believe
you?
we do. I believe we do. So and we'll put it in the link in the show notes here. So you can I think it's 25% off. I think you could get the membership for 75. Don't quote me though, because Lisa is in charge of that stuff. And you guys have been very generous with us all the time. So that's a cool thing. But also, girl campers can get together, pick a location for Harvest Host, and then go out there and just really, really have some fun with your friends, save some money, support a local business.
Yeah. And if
Uh,
anyone in your community has any apprehension of traveling with Harvest Host or
Mhm.
traveling solo, I mean, we've both done it. We're happy to answer any questions. It's not hard to find us. Just go to LinkedIn and look for the Alyssas at the Harvest on the Harvest Host page. But yeah,
Hey, listen, okay, yeah, yeah.
you know,
We had 3 Teresas at Girl Camper at one time. It was, yeah,
Yeah, confusing.
confusing, yeah, but
and we
I've
were
got
all
you,
on the
Marissa.
same team. We work together
Yeah.
so closely. All the email chains are always Alyssa and Alyssa.
Mhm.
Trying to keep us straight and
Yeah.
but yeah, I think, any questions that anyone from your community has, we're happy to answer them. I can make that 25% happen for you. And
We'll put that link in the show notes, and, we want everybody to jump online too and follow you at Instagram, join your Facebook page, fall into those pictures like I do, and when you have a membership, you can go in and then you can see and you can search by farm and you can search by winery, you could search by locations, in museums, golf courses. I remember when it was farms and wineries, and now it just seems like there's so many fun things to do.
yeah, and I think fun thing to add is we have just purchased the UK version of Harvest Host. So now you can go to the UK and join Brit Stops, which is Harvest Host in the UK and Ireland. And we have about 1,100 stopovers there too. And so, everything you love about Harvest Host, I think,
Yeah.
for me, it's like, I would love to stay at a castle or like a
Yeah.
500-year-old pub. And that's exactly what we're offering in the UK.
All right. Now you've done it. Kim Foley McKinnon, the editor of the magazine, has been trying to get me to go to Europe and camp in Europe, and we're just going to have to do it now.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely have to join Brit Stops and try that out. We can send it over to you so you can see it, but
We're going to have to cover that on Girl Camper. That is too cool for school. I gotta know more about that one. That is so fun.
yeah.
Well, thank you both for coming on the show today. Like, I want to keep everybody up to speed on what's happening at Harvest House because, gosh, I remember when there were 300 locations, and how many are there now?
With all of our
Almost
products.
God.
Yeah. All of our
Yeah.
we're at 10,000.
Oh my gosh. That is incredible growth. And obviously you're doing something right.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much
much.
for coming on the show. We want to keep everybody posted and go ahead and follow Courtney, the flippin' nomad, who is going all over the country, staying at Harvest House, having such a blast. So jump on their Instagram account, follow Courtney at the flippin' nomad, and see all the fun she's having. So thank you both for coming on, and I hope you have happy trails ahead of you. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Janine.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Janine.
you.